Okay, who is ready for a very, very over-ambitious June TBR? First, let's talk briefly about the audiobooks I will be listening to this month. So the first audiobook that I cannot wait to start is called A Study in Charlotte. This was recommended time and time again on the channel Abigail's Cup of Tea, which I will link below, one of my favorite channels to watch when I'm feeling stressed or need to be happified. It's a very happifying channel, if you know what I mean. So I'm really excited for this one. I believe it follows Charlotte, who is the descendant of Sherlock Holmes.
The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street.
And she meets this person who is the descendant of Watson, and they solve mysteries together. So I think it should be fun. The next novel I will be listening to an audiobook is Emma by Jane Austen. The Perks of Being a Bookflower has a book club. I will also link her channel down below. Kristen, you are wonderful. And last month they read Emma by Jane Austen, and I really meant to get around to it, but my hold took forever to show up. Emma follows a girl who considers herself a matchmaker, but she cannot seem to find the perfect match for her. It's a big conundrum, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Austen is fantastic. So, the second to last audiobook I will be reading this month is Cersei. I have no idea what it's about. Probably something to do with Greek gods, but maybe not. I know that a high school in my area did this as like a play or maybe a musical this year, so that's cool. And then the last audiobook I've got is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delilah Owens. This my best friend Lily recommended to me, as well as my estranged one-sided best friend Reese Witherspoon. So I cannot wait to check this one out. It's getting a lot of buzz, so I'm hopeful. I'm a hopeful little bee. The first physical book I will be reading this month is Bear Town by Frederick Bachman. Oh, there are tea stains. How cute. This book is from Deer Park Public Library in Deer Park, Texas. Cool! Bear Town takes place, I believe, in a small town that has a really heavy emphasis on hockey. Hockey is like their entire world. But then there's a scandal because one of the hockey players has been accused of raping a girl in the town. So that really riles up the town. It creates a lot more discussion in the town about hockey players and what they should and should not be allowed to do. And I just can't wait. This is going to be my first Frederick Bachman, and I have heard such great things, so I'm stoked. Next, I will be reading Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. Recently, I had this in a Thrift Books haul, and I mentioned that I loved this little rainbow detail, and Thrift Books commented on my video, and that just made my whole entire day infinitely more sunny. So I cannot wait to check this one out. No idea what it's about. I do know that it is a compilation of 2 short stories sewn together and wrapped with much love. I'm excited for this one. I got this from my grandma for Christmas last year, and it is called Shroud for a Bride.
There's a Reaper. Ooh. Criminals.
The main character of this novel actually has debilitating anxiety and a really troubled past, so I'm excited to read a character that suffers from mental illness. I also think that she's physically disabled. I could be wrong, but I believe that is a trademark of this author, Kendra Merritt, and it looks like she's holding a crutch or a cane. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe it's a shovel. If I enjoy this, I will be checking out her novel, By Winged Chair, which has a character in a wheelchair. I realized that I haven't read a lot of books with disabled main characters, protagonists, anti-heroes, the like, and I would love to do that. I cannot wait to check out Shroud for a Bride. It also looks spooky scary. Aha! Next one is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is getting all the buzz on BookTube, so I'll be brief, but John Green says it's intricately plotted, compulsively readable. And I like compulsively readable things because then I read them quickly, and my sleep schedule goes goes to hell. This novel takes place at a private special school in Vermont, and there are murders, there are mysteries galore, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. Also, I love the cover. Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. I was considering not carrying on with the Game of Thrones series. I actually had a brief discussion just over comments with Susan from Susan is Reading, whose channel, again, I will link down below. And we were talking about the violence against women in these books and whether or not they were healthy books for people to read, because they are incredibly violent and often disproportionately towards female characters. But I loved the characters in general and the world building, so I needed to pick this one up. I'm also getting it on audiobook, just because when a book is a brick like this one here, it helps me out to have another human reading along with me. This is Having Our Say by Sarah L. Delaney and A. Elizabeth Delaney. I believe this novel follows two sisters, their first 100 years of life. These sisters are African American, but one is lighter skinned than the other, which has resulted in her having, in some ways, an easier life than her sister, but has made her feel left out in her culture. This novel takes place post-Reconstruction in the South. I think it'll offer a lot of insight, and I love that it's these two lovely ladies' memories. I love memories, and this is kind of a memoir, but also some historical nonfiction to throw into your day. I cannot wait for this one. I'll let you know how it goes. This is a reread. I saw this on my shelves, and I missed it. I hadn't read it since like 6th grade, so I thought I'd pick it up. That's The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is the classic romance between Augustus Waters and I believe her name is Hazel, and both of the main characters have had struggles with cancer or other debilitating diseases throughout their lives. But their paths merge and they fall in love, and it is a whirlwind romance, and it ends in beautiful tragedy, which is a great oxymoron, and I just can't wait to read it again. I want to remember why I loved it so much. Okay, this one should be no surprise, but I will be rereading The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I know it's very shiny. That's because you know how they used to do like the plasticky covers on YA books so that they would have like the raised letters, you know? I accidentally peeled that off. So now I have a silver copy. The Hunger Games follows Katniss Everdeen, who lives in a dystopian future where every 4 years, every year? Charlotte, correct me in the comments. Her community and her nation called Panem, they hold the Hunger Games, from which only one tribute emerges alive. It's suspenseful. It's the classic YA dystopia, and I want to reread the series before I check out Suzanne Collins' novel called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Currently have it on hold on Libby, and it will be a 23-week wait, so I've got plenty of time. Okay, so I have overly ambitious TBRs. We all know this, but I have 4 more books for you guys that I'm going to go through briefly. So I had this idea. I had this concept in my cranium that I would read one of these books a week in June, and then I would cook the food from that culture, because all of these books take place in different parts of the world and with different cultures. And I thought, well, it'd be cool to learn about the culture and then cook some food from that culture, because I like food. I think most people like food, and I thought that would be something new to challenge me over the summer and prevent the onslaught of just outrageous boredom. The first novel I will be reading is actually just the first one in the trilogy for now, and that is Night by Elie Wiesel. This follows this man's experience during the Holocaust as a Jewish man. I know it will be heart-wrenching, but I'm so looking forward to reading it because I think it will be incredibly powerful. I am Jewish, so luckily I have a few recipes already up my sleeve. Matzah, challah, kugel, bagel, strudel, spätzle, schnitzel, the like. I found gluten-free matzah crackers at the store, so my dad and I are going to whip up some fried matzah to go along with this here novel. The next book in my cooking and reading around the world adventure will be How the Garcia Girls Lost Their accents. I did start this a few months ago, and I really enjoyed it. As you can see, I didn't get super far in, and I just ended up accidentally putting it down. I didn't intend for it to happen, but it did, so I will be picking this one back up. It is about a girl named Yolanda, and Yolanda's family is Dominican, but she has moved to America. And this book deals with topics like assimilation and accepting and appreciating and loving your cultural heritage, and I just can't wait to read more. The next book on my read around the world I also had in a TBR but never picked up, and that is Purple Hibiscus, the novel. This takes place in Nigeria, and it follows a girl and her brother, and they are pretty well off, live pretty privileged lives, and then one day they are sent to go visit their aunt in a different part of the country, and they return home with a new perspective on freedom and their life circumstances. I cannot wait to read this. I don't believe I've ever cooked food from an African country, so I'm so excited. There's quite a large Ethiopian population in my neighborhood, and so they had an Ethiopian festival a few years back, and the food was heavenly. My friend Sion talked me into going, and I'm so glad she did, and I just can't wait to try out a recipe from Nigeria. The last book for Read Around the World of June and cooking and all that jazz is going to be When the Emperor Was Divine by Julie Otsuka. This one follows a family of Japanese Americans during World War II, and they've been ostracized because racism and xenophobia, and this is about their story. It is about the emotional texture of their experience, and I believe it ends with a little tinge of hope, and I love hopeful things. So for this, I will be cooking a Japanese dish. Not sure what that'll be. I might try out homemade sushi, but I don't know where to buy sushi grade fish, so maybe not. I don't know, but I'm so excited to read this one. My friend Lorelai recommended this fantastic novel, and it should be a blast. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. Those are all of my books for June. Here are all my physical books, plus the shiny cover, along with all of my books for cooking and reading around the world, and my audiobooks. I hope you'll enjoy this video. I hope you have a terrific June, not only with reading, but just in your personal lives, and that you're taking care of yourselves. That's important. And I hope you're safe and happy. And until next time, I will say adieu.